Imagine Alpine is looking for a fourth candidate after passing on Fernando Alonso, Oscar Piastri and Daniel Ricciardo to accompany Esteban Ocon in Formula 1 the next season. But who would be able to fill the void the two-time world champion Alonso will leave behind? Well, that's a big question. We're going to help you and Alpine out and not some possible replacements. It doesn't take strenuous mental gymnastics to imagine this scenario during an amazing silly season. If Piastri secures the McLaren seat, Daniel Ricciardo would seem to be Alpine's go-to backup. But would he want to return to Alpine, and would McLaren present any challenges? Alonso has already left, and Alpine seems content that Piastri will follow in his footsteps and leave as well. Deciding who should be the fourth option, now that's more difficult. The variety of selections is good, but possibly not the quality. Without intending to offend the drivers who will be considered for the Alpine shortlist, none have ever won a Grand Prix or been a dynamic team leader with the potential to last for a very long time. Alpine already has Ocon, a young driver who is dependable, very good but perhaps not great, and who could remain active for many years. Would working with someone like Mick Schumacher help much? Is it a sign of great ambition to try to pull Daniel Kvyat or NICO Hulkenberg in from the cold? What about a driver from outside the sport, like Nyck de Vries, the defending Formula E champion, or perhaps Antonio Giovinazzi? Let's dive into the possible replacements of Fernando Alonso at Alpine. And yes, there are some shocking candidates in here. But first, let us ask you a question. Who would you like to see and fill the empty seat at Alpine next year? Let us know in the comments below. Unless Alonso, Piastri and Ricciardo all decline, there is a reason why none of these previously stated drivers are in the running for an Alpine spot. In order to prevent an F1 team from being consistently weakened, drivers like Alonso should ideally be replaced with statement signings or promising young drivers. Piastri, one of Alpine's own, highly regarded, youthful and eager with a bright future, was a fantastic backup for Alonso because of this. He might no longer be involved though. There is a very obvious gap to Alpine's next homegrown prospects, even with a well-stocked academy that boasts 4 drivers spanning Formula 2 and Formula 3. Rarely do teams have several young drivers waiting in line to make their Formula 1 debuts. It is especially unwise to compete with a works team in the upper midfield that is out to win events. Even Piastri, who's won 3 championships in a row and has a rigorous testing schedule for the 2021 car, wasn't viewed as being fully up to par until Alpine lost its main rivet. Even he did not receive first preference for a seat in the 2023 Alpine event. Alpine wished to keep him in reserve while he obtained more practical knowledge. This has proven to be a potentially fatal mistake. Although it may be understandable for Alpine to believe that an aging Alonso is still superior to a rookie who won the Formula 3 and Formula 2 championships back-to-back, the truth is that Piastri was kept at a distance. He felt so alienated by Alpine that moving elsewhere appealed. Alpine's highly sought-after apprentice would not be where he is today if the latter had been more clever with Piastri, more devoted, or just more prepared to take a chance. Instead, a competing team will profit from Alpine's investment. To commit to its own skills with more commitment may be one of the lessons Alpine has to learn. The issue is that doing so right away would be a huge bet. One of the 4 members of Alpine Academy, Jack DOOHAN, is in first place. The rookie in Formula 2, who finished second in Formula 3 last year, has 2 victories in the top feeder series. He is an intriguing choice because he is a driver with clear promise and very high peaks, who also has some F1 experience after participating in at least 2 tests with 2021 Alpine machinery. However, the 19-year-old Australian, who is the son of the legendary motorcycle racer Mick DOOHAN, is extremely rough around the edges, appears mistake-prone, and is prone to emotional outbursts. In F2, he has repeatedly been exposed for exaggerating perceived injustices, and oddly, given that Piastri doing this as well is what Alpine is more upset about in this whole affair, DOOHAN had his own controversial case of self-interest the previous season. In the F3 season finale at Sochi, he was competing against Clement NOVALAK of the Trident team for the victory. The team's championship was on the line, so Trident ordered DOOHAN to cease battling NOVALAK, who had been attacking for second position. At one point, they both veered off course, and they repeatedly engaged in wheel-to-wheel combat. DOOHAN won the race after that, and Trident held on to win the team's title by 4 points. NOVALAK fell back and dropped further down than second place. Post-race, the team said, "It was risky, but you won. Thank you." Doohan replied, "I'm sorry guys, but I race for myself, you know. I'm racing for my own career." "Sorry Jack, I don't agree," he received in response. "Thank you anyway." It is a digression, possibly one that is not relevant. Doohan, a former Red Bull junior, was unsigned and attempting valiantly to establish his value at the time. Up until that second place finish in F3, his single-seater career had been fine but unremarkable. He now indicates in F2 that there may be more to work with than first appears, but he also raises a few glaring red flags. Even while it was irresponsible of Alpine to immediately place its trust in Doohan, it was equally irresponsible to allow Piastri to slip through the cracks. Beyond the Australian, there is Victor Martins, an F3 title contender who is highly regarded inside the Alpine hierarchy, but who hasn't advanced out of the lower divisions as swiftly as most mega talents do. Additionally, the 21-year-old is a little too far behind in his growth to be a short-term solution. F1 would be a significant step after spending 5 years in the Formula Renault Eurocup and F3. While Doohan might be viewed as Alpine's best long-term prospect for 2023, Martins is undoubtedly far from even making the shortlist. Martins may yet establish himself as Alpine's top long-term prospect, so for now this seems out of reach. Ollie Caldwell, who is even further off the team's list of prospects, and Caio Calais, who was once hailed as Brazil's next great thing but is well behind Martins in the standings, are the other Alpine Academy drivers, and in every championship table in the 4 seasons they've spent racing in the same categories. DOOHAN is the only plausible candidate, and he comes with a significant asterisk if Alpine wants to double down and commit to its own talent pool. He would be a risk of enormous proportions, perhaps one Alpine is not willing to face, as a driver who appears to require a solid second season in F2 to develop as a driver. With all the resources required by such comprehensive S1 testing procedures, Alpine's academy may now be revealed to lack depth beyond its star talent. But this is simply the way driver training programs work. The truth is that people like Piastri don't appear every so often. Thus, Alpine is in the unfortunate position of having to choose between playing it safe with a well-known and unspectacular alternative, or rolling the dice on someone out of left field and accepting that gamble for what it is, barring any further unusual driver market twists. And that leaves us with the question, which drivers are out there for Alpine to pick up? As said before, Ocon is a good driver, but not the generational talent that Piastri is. So will Alpine be able to pair Ocon up with a less experienced driver and hope that Esteban will be able to lead the team? If so, they could pick up a driver like Schumacher. He has proven time and time again that after having enough time in a car, he is able to perform. Next to that, he has great marketing and PR status around him, which could increase Alpine's fan base. But this gamble would require Ocon to step up and lead the team. Apart from Schumacher, Alpine could also opt for Tsunoda, if Red Bull decide that after 2 years of driving for AlphaTauri, he just doesn't cut it. But Tsunoda seems to be error-prone, which is something an upper midfield team is not looking for. But that said, Schumacher also seems to make errors from time to time. And what could be their options if they think Ocon is not capable to lead the team? The obvious picks could be Kvyat or Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg had proved himself as a great driver in the past and has worked with the team's former iteration Renault. But the German is already 34 years old, so it's most likely won't be a long-term replacement. It does give Alpine the time to shape up Jack DOOHAN to fill the empty seat in a couple of years. Kvyat could also be a viable option. He was a reserve driver of the Alpine team in 2021, so he knows how things are working at the French team. Although Kvyat has driven fast and good cars in the past, he never showed that he had it in him to win races. And with Alpine trying to build a car capable of challenging for podiums and even wins in 2023, this doesn't seem like the best option. So for now, it seems like Daniel Ricciardo would be the safest bet for the French team. If he picks up the pace in the second half of the season, this would seem like a no-brainer. But if he doesn't, Alpine will most likely bet safely on Hulkenberg to let DOOHAN grow a little bit more in F2. Or they'll take a risk and promote DOOHAN in F1 and hope for the best. Only time will tell us. So who do you think will fill the open spot for Alpine in 2023? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for today. Make sure to like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to stay updated with our content. We'll see you in the next video.